Hello, today we're shooting this video in beautiful Catalina State Park near Tucson, Arizona. What a better and more romantic place to have a yoga practice gear for better sex. I have to say that yoga in general makes you more aware, more present, and more mindful. These are all qualities that make your sexual experience with your partner more fulfilling, pleasurable, and fun. You naturally become more aware of your body and all your senses, your taste, smell, touch, sight, they all become more acute and turned on, and they can all work together to make your experience a fulfilling one. So, enjoy this practice, be present, breathe deeply, increase awareness of your body, and most of all, make it fun. And don't forget to let us know how it went if you like to share your experience.
Hi, I'm Laura, and with me today is Andrea. Today we're going to start in Child's Pose. So let's have our knees wide, our arms stretched out in front of us, and settle your hips back towards your heels. Just for a nice, relaxing, hip opening pose. Today's class, we're going to strengthen and stretch your body in ways that will awaken your libido. So we'll focus on opening the hips, strengthening the pelvis, and easing tension. So these poses will get the blood flowing to all the right places to enhance your sex life. So this one was a nice gentle hip opener because nice open hips definitely enhances your sex life. And this is a very grounding pose to help you really settle in and focus on your practice. So we'll be here just for a little bit while longer, a few more breaths. Just ease into this pose. Okay, let's slowly come up to hands and knees, and we'll do some cat-cows. So your knees under your hips, wrists under your shoulders, and then we'll exhale, round, and inhale, lift the tailbone and the head. So exhale, rounding, and inhale, arch. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, arch the back like a cat. And inhale, raise your head and tailbone. One more. Exhale and inhale. And then let's just do some free movement. So you might want to rotate your spine around, maybe go back to cows, or maybe sit your heels down. Come back into a child's pose for a moment. So whatever would make your body feel good right now. It's a nice way to really loosen up the spine, get the blood flowing around the body. And from here, let's come into a down dog. So hips high, feet back, heels towards the floor. And you might want to walk out your dog here. So maybe bend one knee and straighten the other. And when you're done, settle into the pose for a few breaths. And this is excellent for stretching the entire back of the body, opening up the shoulders. So you'll want your back to be wide here. Heels towards the floor. Hands spread wide. Then let's slowly step up to the front of the mat with our heels wide. And we're just going to dangle here for a few breaths. And you might want to just have your hands on the floor, or you can cup your elbows and sway back and forth. Whatever would work for you here. Just more opening for the back of the body, the low back. This is a good grounding pose that eases tension. And from here, let's put our hands down and we're going to squat into a Yogi Squat. So go ahead and squat down. and then inhale up. So we'll do this with the breath. So 2 more times. Exhale, squat, and inhale, forward fold. 1 more. Inhale, squat. And from here, we're going to stay here for about 5 breaths. So try to use your elbows to push your knees open. And if you need a block here, it's always a good idea to sit on a block if this is too much for you. This is a great pose for opening those hips. And then from here, go ahead and rise, lift your arms up, inhale, and exhale your hands to heart center. So we're going to do a few standing poses here just to get some strengthening. So let's come into Warrior 2 on the right side. So your right knee will be bent, left leg back, your left foot at a 45-degree angle. Sit your hips down, and they'll be rotated to the side, arms out straight. And look over that front arm and hand, and just settle into this. So this is a nice, easy hip opening pose that also strengthens the legs. So it's a very powerful pose. And then from here, we're going to come into side angle. So you can have your right elbow on your knee, your hand maybe on the floor or a block. You can bind if that works for you. Then the left arm will be up over your head or straight up if that's better for your arm. Then just rotate that chest open to the side. Just a little more hip opening and strengthening here. And then slowly straighten that right leg, and you can either have your hand on the inside or outside of the foot. But go ahead and keep that chest open. Maybe you can even open it up a little bit more towards the ceiling with your arm up. And feel that nice opening of the back of the hamstring in the right leg. And let's turn to face the mat, and then we'll rotate over to the left side of our mat, feet wide. So we'll have our heels out, toes in slightly, and then inhale, flat back, and then exhale, forward fold with your elbows bent, so you're like chaturanga arms there. Then just try to ease your head towards the floor. If your head easily touches the floor, go ahead and bring your feet closer together to give yourself a little more room. But that is not the goal here, to get your head toward the floor. We want to just have a nice opening of the back of the legs. Let's inhale, flat back, then inhale to rise, and we'll do those on the left side. So we'll turn towards the left and come into Warrior 2 on this side. Really sink down into it. Arms strong. And then let's come into side angle on this side. So whatever variation works for you. This side will probably feel different than the other, but really stretch that right arm up and overhead if that works for you, and rotate that chest open. Get that nice opening of the whole side body and the hips here. And then let's look down, straighten that left leg for triangle. So you can have your hand on the inside or outside of your foot. Maybe you use a block here. Rotate that chest open. Bring your arm up. And feel that nice hamstring on the left side opening up. Okay, let's look down, bring your hands down, and then we'll rotate to your right. So we'll come back to the side of the mat with your toes in, heels out. Let's grab the big toes here, inhale, flat back, and then exhale, forward fold here. And try to shift your hips slightly forward. Maybe you can get a little deeper here. And this can also be a sexual position, so might get you inspired being in this position. Just another breath or two. And then inhale, flat back, release. And rise up to standing. And then come back up to the front of the mat. Hands to heart center. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Then we'll exhale to plank and then down to our bellies for some heart openers. So we're going to come into Sphinx Pose. So let's have our elbows underneath our shoulders, arms out straight, hands flat, and then really pull the chest up. And try to relax your glutes and your low back here. If you'd like to go a little further, you can have your hands out a little wider and try to straighten your arms. This is a nice opening of the front of the body, the heart. And then let's release. So you can use your hands as a pillow and rest your forehead. You might like to shake your hips side to side. And let's come up for another one. We'll do two more here. So you might want to do Sphinx again, or if you'd prefer to do Seal, you can have your hands wider and keep your arms straighter. Just make sure your shoulders are relaxed and they're not up by your ears. And let's come down. Just relax. Shake it out. And let's come up for one more. So make this your biggest back bend. Just really pull that chest through. Maybe lift your chin. And feel that nice opening of the heart and the front of the body. And then let's slowly release, resting your head on your hands. From here, we're going to make our way into a hip opener. So you can either do pigeon with me or figure four with Andrea. So if you're coming into pigeon, you can start in down dog and then bring your right leg forward with your shin as parallel with the front of the mat as you can, with your right knee to the outside of your right hip, left leg straight behind you, and then go ahead and lean forward. You can be on your elbows like I am, or if you'd prefer, you can lay all the way down with your head resting on the floor or your hands. If you're with Andrea, you can be on your back and then have your right foot hooked over your left knee, and then you can grab the front of the knee or perhaps the hamstring and pull your knee towards your chest. This will give you a nice opening in the outer right hip. And hip opening is important because we do carry a lot of tension in our hips most of the time. And if you loosen your hips, it will make sex more comfortable, as well as release that tension. So we'll be here a little bit longer than the other poses, just to get a nice opening. And then let's come up out of the pose. You can come up to down dog if you're in pigeon and walk your legs out before we come to the other side. So the left shin will be parallel to the front of the mat, or as close as you can get. Right leg straight behind you, or if you're on your back, you'll have your left foot hooked over your right knee and pulling your knees into the chest. And just breathe into these poses. Allow your body to open up. This side may be tighter or more open than the other side. That's perfectly normal. And let's slowly come out of the pose. If you're in pigeon, come into down dog for a moment. Before we come down to the floor again, and we'll be parallel with the side of our mat, legs wide. You may need to sit on a blanket or a block to be comfortable here. But lean up, lift your chest, and then exhale, forward fold. And keep your feet flexed here. You want them active so you really feel the opening in the back of the legs. And your low back should be relaxed here. And this is great for a groin opening. And also it stimulates the sacral chakra, which can help increase sexual energy. So this is a good pose for many things. Okay, inhale back up. And from here, we're going to make our way onto our backs for a couple of back bends. We're going to come into bridge. So let's have our feet hip width apart. And then we'll lift our hips up. And if you can, clasp your hands underneath you with your arms straight and push into the floor, lifting your pelvis up. Now you want to try to keep your knees parallel with your hips here. You don't want them too wide to really get the activation. And this will help strengthen the pelvic floor. Just lift that chest up to the sky. Try to relax your glutes. And then slowly come down, keeping your feet wide. Just go ahead and knock your knees together and let the low back relax. Okay, we'll come up one more time. So feet hip width apart, and go ahead and lift up. You may want to follow Andrea and lift your right leg up straight up to the air for a little more muscle engagement. If you have your leg up, go ahead and place it down and lift your left foot up. And then go ahead and place the leg down if it's up for another breath. And then ease back down to the floor. And you can rest your knees together again or bring your knees into your chest, whatever's comfortable. And from here, we're going to come into a wide-legged twist, an open twist. So if you have your feet as wide as your mat, and then drop your knees over to the left-hand side. And this is a nice opening for the side of the body and the outer right hip. Now, if you need a little more, you can place your left foot on your right knee, and that'll give you a little more sensation in that outer right hip. Just have your arms out to the side. Okay, let's slowly bring our knees up to center and then just drop them right over to the right-hand side. And you can stay here, or if you'd like, you can put your right foot on top of your left knee for a little more sensation. Okay, let's slowly bring your knees back up. Now from here, if you prefer, you can just have your legs up the wall for a nice inversion for the legs. But if you're going to be with us or me, you can do Plow Pose. So you'll be on your back and you'll lift your toes up and over your head so they're resting on the floor, or perhaps on a block if you can't reach, with your arms straight and your hands clasped together, pushing into the floor. Now, if you're in this position, please do not move your head around. You want to keep your neck safe. So this is a great stretch for the entire back of the body. And it can also be a sexual position. And then from here, if you're with me, why don't we come into a shoulder stand. So you'll have your hands on your low back and bring your toes up over your hips. So try not to have them over your head. You don't want to be in a pike position. You want your feet in line with your knees and your hips. And then you can do a headstand or keep your legs up the wall if that's better for you. It's always nice to reverse gravity in the body. Gives you a new sense of energy. Alrighty, and if you're in shoulder stand, come down into plow for a breath before rolling back down. And if you were in plow, please take a fish pose or a modified fish like I'm doing. So you'll have your elbows behind you and just tilt your head and back and your chest open up to the sky. As you had compression, in your throat, so you want to open that back up after being in that intense pose. And we're going to do one more pose here, happy baby. So lie on your back and bring your feet up and grab the outside of your feet and bring your knees out wide and press down your feet with your hands to get a little bit more opening in those hips. And to release the low back, you can rock side to side if you prefer. This is also a good sexual position. It's a nice way to end the practice, just with a nice final stretch. And then slowly release for Shavasana. Have your legs out wide, arms out wide, maybe something over your eyes. If you're a little cold, maybe a blanket. So whatever would make you feel most comfortable right now. Start to bring your awareness back into your body. Wiggle your feet, your hands. Shake your head gently side to side. When you're ready, bring your knees into your chest and roll over to one side, using your arm as a pillow. And taking your time, make your way up to a seated position with your eyes closed. Let's bring our hands to heart center and bow our gaze and head in gratitude. Thank you for joining us today. Namaste.